I've said before that I completely understand why so many people get ghosted on these days. It's because there's a lot of people out there who think that their presence is enough in whatever the association is, and it's the other person whose job it is to keep that association going until eventually the other person's basically running a friendship or in a relationship or some kind of association all by themselves. The other person may as well just not be there. In fact, for all intents and purposes, they're not. So the other person gets bored of being the one to put the effort in, and they try and communicate this with the other person, but they just get gaslit or guilt tripped or manipulated, and eventually they just turn around and go, fine, and they just walk away. It's something I've done many a time. A lot of people thought that if they showed their face every now and again in my inbox or invited me to some quick meetup every now and again, that was, their contribution. But God help me if I drifted below 99% effort. So eventually I just said, well, look, this friendship's over. They don't seem to be that interested anymore. They're not bringing anything to my life. I'm clearly not bringing anything to theirs, which is very important to me to be able to do. And so I just, move on, and that's when the complaints of ghosting will happen. So I completely understand why so many people get ghosted these days, and I think for most of you out there, um, it's what you deserve. The trick is to say, do you know what? Just because I'm good looking, or because I've got lots of money, or I'm in the right circumstances, just because I'm popular, it doesn't mean to say that I can't put some effort in, because one day those things will fade or they'll disappear or they'll change. And what are you going to have left when they're gone? Well, if you work on your personality and your charm and you treat people with dignity, you'll have those things. You'll have that reputation built up. It's what ugly guys like me have had to learn since we were old enough to walk. I may not be able to offer the right things or the things that people want, but the one thing no one can ever deny about me is that I put effort into whatever dynamic we were in at the time. That could have been too much effort, possibly, but at least I tried. But this doesn't mean that I think ghosting is funny or that it's a particularly nice experience for anybody, regardless of whether you earn it or not. And I've seen quite a few things. I have an Instagram account, and every so often I'll get these recommended posts where they just do like little quotes, text quotes, and there's quite a few about ghosting, and it's things like, please don't ghost on people. It can cause long-term harm, and I suppose it can do that because you're leaving someone without a proper closure. And some people, I do think they do that on purpose because they just love this idea of themselves moving on with their lives while someone else is falling to pieces because of them. It gives them a sense of power, and because using charm and kindness and respect is too much of a tall order, it's much easier to make someone else feel small so you can feel bigger by comparison. But if you're someone who's currently in a situation where you just don't know whether someone's in your life or whether they've ghosted you, really, I, I would use the barometer that I use, which is, I can honestly say right now in my life, and I'm counting both my personal real life dynamics as well as the friendships that I've built online, I can only say solidly that there's about four people who I know for a fact are still in my life. The rest, I don't know if I'm ever going to hear from them again. It's been so long. They they've been gone for years, but tomorrow they could rock up in my DMs or at my front door, acting as though they've never been away. Or it could be someone who's been gone a few months and I have no idea that they've already decided they'll never be talking to me again. The trick is to just really look at it from the point of view of what a friendship is. This idea that friendship is, something you can just drop out of and opt back into is bollocks. And yeah, obviously you can't expect all of a person's time. I don't think anyone's ever asked for that though. Not unless they were crazy. But, if someone's not been in your life for a long time, they've left your life. And that doesn't mean to say they can't come back one day, but for now, they've left. And you must never let them manipulate you into thinking otherwise. I've had people that have come back after years and years of not even stopping to talk to me on the street, and suddenly they're my best friend again. And they'll say to me, well, you can't, just because our friendship, just because we weren't hanging out, it doesn't mean that our friendship was over. You should be more trusting. And all I'm thinking in my head is that's a lot of words for I want to be able to drift out of your life, but I need you to stay there in the reserve for when I come back. And as I've said before, no one should ever settle for that. No one should ever be the backup plan. It's okay to opt out of their lives if they've opted out of yours. So that's how I deal with it. If you haven't heard from them for a long time and there's, unless it's an emergency or they've had some kind of crisis, you've been ghosted on, and it's not nice, but as soon as you accept that, the sooner you can move on to pastures new, to find new people that can, give you what it is you want and allow you to bring what you know you can bring to a dynamic. Or if there's a period of loneliness ahead of you, you can use that time to learn more about yourself and learn to love your own company.